always think of in terms, it is unreasonable that this ecosystem won't achieve glory. Like it is unreasonable.
Totally.
Like
it's just time.
There's no certainty. There's none of that stuff. It's just, if you think about it in terms, it is unreasonable that it won't happen. So why, that's the way I think about it.
I'm also noticing where I'm just like, wait, isn't this so cool that if we go back to the values of our community, one of the things that has been instilled so deeply is growth and the growth mindset, being resilient, changing, and adaptability. And so much of everything that we're doing today is we're just experiencing, and all of these changes has been experiencing growth collectively as a community. And so I don't really know how many communities, especially, I mean, quite honestly, given how young we are, we still are very, very young. But how like time doesn't really show for how tight we all are and how strong we've become. But really the fact that it speaks to our volumes of how adaptable we are to change and how growth oriented we are, because now we have a community full of leaders who supports and encourages people to stay in the game, to remind themselves of the big picture of what we're actually involved in, to remind ourselves that like growth and change is uncomfortable in moments, but it sets way for long-term delayed gratification. And I'm just like, how beautiful it is that like, this is what has been infused and created in our community so that we can ride and we can create glory.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I wanted to get into too. Just like what made you all get into HEX and PulseChain in the first place? Like for me, I've talked about it a lot of just different principles and, I was following RH and kind of just, hey, this guy's building some stuff. I like him. Let me get into it. Oh my gosh, this is actually like really cool. And eventually like, okay, I want to spend my time, energy, capital in this place. This is the place. And then Scivive and all this stuff too. But what is the foundations of this place and why has HEX play such a big role in that? Whoever wants to take it first.
Okay. So for myself, at first I have to say I didn't fully trust Richard. It was energy of where I was at in my own crypto journey as well. But with that, I was like, I'm going to put $1,500 into HEX and see what happens. And so first that I got in before the last big payday, I watched that 1,500 turn into $110,000. And I was like, oh, okay. Like he's gotten my attention. So first off, I was drawn in through that. And then that actually had me stay and explore more of the community and just like observe as an outsider, honestly, where I was like, can I build my trust? How can I build my trust? What is going on here? How does this form? Why did price perform in this way? But also, why does this exist? And the more that I started to peel things back, it really wasn't until PulseChain came out that I was really like deeply, deeply in it. And I'm just like, oh, I can see this. I can feel this. For me, it was the decentralization. That is what I can feel here on Earth, where it's like, the systems that we have outgrown in the world, the centralization, the powers that are corrupt, that we have totally gotten, like that is an old way. People crave something new. And decentralization is something that takes time to be able to build. So, and it's something that you can't buy people's trust. It has to be built and it has to be a community full of leaders. And so what I've seen here with PulseChain in our community is collectively where it's like, oh, like the sky really is not it's not the limit. There is no limit here, because we are doing something that has never been done before. You cannot just magically snap your fingers and create a product, a community that is bond together and lives in trust together and cares about each other. That is unique. And if that is the case, us as a collective community can continue to sculpt and move and form in a way that we are adaptable and we need to be. So the technology, the values, the community, I mean, the community is honestly the biggest asset, which we like to say. The community is a greater asset than code. That's been the huge draw for me.
So I got in later than both y'all, and at first didn't know even who Richard was. I studied HEX for about 6 months as I was DCAing in, because I was already on a journey to find. I was looking for HEX. I was looking for exactly what this product is and what it does. I knew that I was going to have some money to move around from selling my home, and wasn't into crypto at all. Wasn't really, I knew about crypto, but wasn't really that interested in it. And, was looking into other ways to make my money work for me. And then when I spent those hundreds of hours listening to content about Hex and how it worked and how the code worked, I was sold. I was like, this is exactly what I've wanted and what I've been looking for in terms of being financially free, having control over my finances, and being on the cutting edge of technology, right? Just all those things combined is what drew me in. And then what got me to stay was learning really about Richard and who he was. That was the first thing that got me to stay, or that gave me just the absolute confidence that this was something that can, and I believe will, change the world. It has already changed the world for many people. And getting to know, really digging in, those of you that know my story, that's how Scivive happened. That's how the audiobook happened, is that I really wanted to dig in and find out, who is this guy? Like, who is Richard? What is he really about? And reading Scivive helped me to realize that he is a benevolent, philanthropic man who really cares about the world and really wants to bring about change, and is really smart and has our best interests at heart. And he really does, you guys. Like, I can't express to you, I wish I could just like ooze out my knowing of who Richard is as a person, having like some conversations with him over the last few years, right? The fact that I've had the chance and the opportunity to speak with him and, talk to him about Scivive and hear feedback from him about different things, and seeing him, talk about the community in all these different ways, and it's cool. I love the dichotomy, or like the difference between Black Hexakin and I, because I talk about this a little bit when we get to do our speech on the PulseChain tour, and she's the opposite. She's just like, I'm in this and I don't think, Richard matters at all. Right. But for me personally, that's how I really became so steadfast in knowing that this is the way, right? And this is something that I think is going to affect the lives of many people in the future, because it's already done so for so many. And I'm like just super bullish and excited about what's to come. I mean, I think that that's something that we need to keep in mind, is like being in the present, yes, but also knowing that we have a lot to look forward to, and that building each other up and being positive and bringing in that mindset of abundance is really what this is all about, right? Because there's more than enough for everyone. There is more than enough for all of us to have wealth and to be financially free. I hope that answered it.
No, that's great to hear. And just, I always think about it too. I mean, I think, you have a different perspective, and Whitney has a different one as well. I mean, me and SJ are sort of the same on a few different levels, just as far as Scivive and stuff goes, and like really being, at least for me, again, a Maxi for his ideals, not for the products, but for his ideals. And I'm like, holy shit, these products are awesome. Yes, I love these things too. And I think these hold the foundational principles, a lot of the ecosystem and all that. But he really does care about, I know people won't say, I don't care if Richard cares about me, or I don't think he cares about anyone, and he cares about himself, or whatever it is, whatever impression people get, that's their own impression. But for me, everything I've ever seen him do, I felt he's did it for, he's already got everything he needs. And of course he wants glory, but he wants glory in a way, he wants to earn it. Like how do you get glory? You earn it. You make everyone else better. Like, you don't get glory just being the richest man in the world. What glory is that? I mean, I guess you can make up your own glory and it could be your story or whatever, but I don't think it's his story. So I think he really does care about the community, and, and it's not something I can't just tell you that and you believe it. Like, you really just gotta, again, read Scivive. You gotta listen to him talk for hundreds of hours over the years. Like, I don't know, there are people in this ecosystem who have these experiences. They can tell you about it, their interpretation of what he's about and stuff. So don't even try to talk about like what he's about half the time, because I know people don't even, I've said it so many times, if you don't get it by this point, like it's just, you're not going to get it from me. Like, you're just not going to understand it if you don't want to, that sort of thing. If you're trying to go some other angle, or he's just trying to run away with the money, or some other irrational thing that like literally doesn't add up. Like, it's hard to explain. And it's not this religious thing. Like, I hate that it has to be this, you have to be like a cultist, or you have to be, you have to sign up for a religion in order to believe that. It's the weirdest thing to me. It's like, how about just research and data and listening to someone and getting to know someone over time. So I think that piece, and again, I just want to hit the poll real quick too. I did this earlier today or yesterday. Do you feel like you're winning in RH ecosystem? Most people, again, regardless of what Twitter says, most people clicked yes on this. If they were honest, that's around 2/3 of people who still believe that this guy has the best interest of the community at heart, and they're well positioned for mad gains. That's what, you know, one interpretation of this could be. So I think we're in better shape than it looks sometimes. I guess it's a message on that.